Thank you so much for coming. I'm very, very excited to listen to these two guys talk. I started my sign painting journey probably about, 6 years ago, and Sid Blewett, this wonderful gentleman here, taught me most of the things I know, so that is lovely, thank you. Yeah.
Shout out to Sid.
Shout out to Sid. So, firstly, I'd like to introduce, we've got Cormac from Mack Signs. Give him a round of applause. And also Colm O'Connor.
I don't clap myself.
Amazing. So we're going to talk for about 45 minutes or so, keeping it nice and neat and like moving along, and then open up the floor to questions if you have any. So have a think about questions if you want to. So first, Cormac, I'm going to ask you, when and why did you start sign painting?
When and why? God, I should have prepared this. I suppose I got into sign writing and lettering through graffiti. So it was a massive love for graffiti as a teenager, going out and spray painting my name everywhere. So, and then I discovered sign writing. I remember looking at a sign in Clonakilty, I think it was, West Cork. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then I was saying to my parents, I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, it's all, I could see the brush strokes in it. And they're like, oh yeah, that's sign writing, like, that's a thing. And I was like, what? You mean you can get paid to paint letters? So yeah, that's kind of how I discovered it. And then I went home and started researching like sign writing. And I found a course. It was a false course down in Cork. And it was a 6-month sign writing apprenticeship, traditional sign writing. So it was all traditional. The course is now finished, or it's not running anymore, but that was about 12 years ago. So I done that when I was 18. And so I done the 6-month apprenticeship, and then I actually just started working in the sign industry. I actually went over to England to do a bit of work experience. One of the sign writers over there, Ash Bishop is his name, and he was like, a young lad like you needs to go work in a sign shop. And he called up someone that he knew, and was just like, I have this young lad here, he's from Ireland, he's looking for a job. And sure enough, I got the job. And that was just, that wasn't traditional sign writing though, that was just sign shop installation, kind of all the stuff the guys were giving out about there. But I suppose that is the sign industry these days, so like, I actually worked in the sign industry for about 6 years when I was working in England and Australia. And I learned so much, like it really was a good job. Most of the stuff I'm doing now, obviously I'm doing a lot of traditional brushwork, but I do a lot of installation and a lot of, I'm trying to be well-rounded. So Ash Bishop was right, the young lad like me did need to go work in a sign shop because she learned to learn. So that's kind of how I started, and then I came back to Ireland in 2016 and set up my business. So I was like, I want to be a traditional sign writer.
Wow, and there wasn't that many people doing it that were younger at the time, right?
Not really, yeah. When I got back to Dublin, I didn't know that many people. The scene's grown a good bit in those few years. There's a few more people doing it now. But yeah, there wasn't that many people. Colm was doing it.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Cormac. So Colm, how did you start sign painting, and why? Why did you do that?
My father's brother is over there, Eddie O'Connor, and he was a painting decorator with a tremendous sense of style, and he always pushed when he was working for a contractor. He always pushed that we get a sign painted. So he was one of the first people who got me working because he got me work. So the other guy beside him over there, Fergal Kane, did the Bolton Street sign. If I put your hands up, he did the Bolton Street City Guilds course for me back in 97, 2007 actually. And both of us were told we were too young to do the class, and the man said, "You're too young, you're not good enough to do it." So we complained. And we got into the class and we did it, and we've been bluffing it ever since. With the likes of my uncle, my father's brother over there, just has an eye for art, and the point was that he would push the client to get a sign, hand-painted sign. If you had an eye for art, and that was the biggest thing. And for anybody here that wants to be, I said this to the lads in class, the lads that were doing it in the body framer class. I know it's a little bit like, I was telling the story about my father teaching me how to learn to drive. He's telling you to relax, right? He's saying to relax while your left foot is like that, right? And you're in charge of a whatever ton car, and you're telling you to relax. But in sign writing, it's very similar. The best thing is to get out and work. And if you get out and work, you're going to learn. So that's by far and away the best thing to do is get out and work. But how do you get out and work? And you have to go and get to work. But the best way to learn is to get out and work. And once you're up on the plank and once you're up on the ladder, your work's going to be seen and you're going to pass it on. So the best way to start is to just work. And that's the way I started, was just to get out and work and make mistakes on the site. And it's not easy, but that's how you do it.
Yeah, amazing. My next question was, what was the learning curve like for you? So maybe you want to have a go at that. Like, did you?
Oh, the
were you
learning
natural,
curve.
or?
The learning. I've said this to loads of people a million times over, and I say it to the class all the time. I'm not an artist, you know. These guys are just born. These guys are born artists, you know. No, I can do a straight line, and I can do a circle as easy as peasy. But when it comes to art, no, that's not my end of things. I've got a million people that can do it better than I can. So the learning curve for me was just, you know, getting out and just learning the hard way, you know, and that's unfortunately, there's no easy answer to it. You have to do the hard yards. We're in our class in Ballyfermot now, and we're 6 weeks in the class, and they haven't lifted a brush yet.
Wow.
They're just...
Oh, what are you doing?
They're just drawing. They're just messing around. They're in the coffee shop. Yeah, no, they're just drawing and they're learning about spacing and they're learning about all the stuff that has to be learned before we even go to sign writing. I'm going like, this is stuff you have to learn. So it's just take your time and just understand what we're trying to achieve. And if we can understand this part first, the next part will become easy. So we're just learning how to do it properly, and that takes time. So we're not in any rush, and we have a very. We're not on a plank in front of a client, so we can take our time and do it properly.
There is so much to learn though. Like it's an expansive kind of craft. I suppose every craft is. You can't just say sign writing is the only difficult one. But like I've recently hired Sean, my apprentice over there. He's been with me since January, and like that's very much a learn on the job. Like I don't have a huge amount of time to teach Sean. He's just like, right, okay, let's go. But even after him being with me like 9-10 months now, he still doesn't know everything, or, you know, and I'm like, oh, we done it like this last time. It's like, no, but we're doing it like this time, because each job has a different, you know, there's different mediums, there's different types of paint to use for certain things, there's different kind of ways you use templates. So every job is different. So you learn with experience, just like Colm said, you literally just throw yourself into the deep end. And,
Totally. What was the learning curve like for you then?
Lots of mistakes with scalpel knives. I stabbed myself a few times, and mistakes. You learn from mistakes.
And were you working at that time? Were you doing client jobs and you were making mistakes and you just kind of covered it up nicely? And
it was kind of more so when I was working with sign companies and I was a bit younger and didn't know as much. But yeah, making mistakes, and then your boss goes mad. And but as well, so sometimes you're on site, and the only way to fix the job is problem solving. So you're kind of going, oh, I fucked this up here. What am I gonna do? You know, so a lot of it is problem solving.
Yeah, totally. There was one of the guys speaking in the last film. You know, the younger guy. He looked a bit odd. You know, he had a bit of twitch and stuff. But he mentioned something about like hustling. And for all the sign painters I know, well, most of them are kind of like, they've got a little bit of a hustle gene in them. And I kind of love that there's real learning on the job kind of thing. Do you identify with this, or am I talking country crap?
I said to one of the lads there, he's in our class down in the corner, and he wants to be a sign writer, and he wants to work for St. Pat's football team. And I'm going, hustle. Go and get that job, you know, go and do your work and go and find it. Don't wait for your man to come to you. Go and hustle, go and find it. And that means you're a problem solver before it even starts. You're going to create that job, because you're going to put the idea in his head. that you want this, so it becomes important. So that's where the hustle comes from. We learn to create work, you know. Again, I go back to my Uncle Eddie there. My father used to say, if he was out of work, he used to go to the drink in a certain pub that he thought needed painting, so your mum would see his face. You know, so in a way, they're getting drunk and they're creating work. So your man would be there pulling points and you go, Shay, my dad would know that place needed painting. So he'd say that part of the bar was, he'd go, oh Shay, I was thinking about getting that bar done. That's a hustle. So I mean, instead of a man going to the regular pub, he's going to another pub 6 miles away, just in the hope he's going to be employed in 2 weeks' time, and that's called a hustle, you know.
Fabulous, I love that.
Yeah, I do think the hustle is real.
Yeah.
And anyone that gets into the craft is like, oh, I'm thinking of doing it. I'm just like, you gotta hustle. Jobs don't come, but if you put yourself out there, they do come. You know, just the universe hears it, and someone. And even if you hustle and you're hustling to the people, and you don't get work off them. Then your phone starts to ring. So that's why the universe hears or something, you know, and someone else calls you.
Totally. That's exactly what happens. And the amazing thing about sign painting is that you're constantly making advertisements for your own work. You never really have to spend on advertising. So that's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, and Instagram.
And Instagram, of course, yeah. And the gram. Okay, Cormac, where is the strangest or most unusual sign you've painted, or what is it?
Yeah, okay, so this is a bit of a story. I asked Holly to ask me this question. So yeah, obviously when I was working in England and Australia, like being a sign installer, you get to just work in the maddest places because everywhere needs a sign. You know, so it was cool. Like in England, I remember working in A&E, in Southampton A&E, and that was mad because they had to treat the patients while we were there, you know, and so that was a bit, and we were going into people's wards and stuff. Oh, sorry, we just need to come and put up a sign. So you have to get pretty good with people, like you do. You kind of have to go in and do your job and be nice, and you know. But the maddest place that I ever painted a sign, and this actually was a hand painted sign, which is even better. But it was on an Australian naval ship. So I was working in a Signorama in Australia, and one of these franchise chains. Anyway, they knew I love sign writing, like hand painted signs, because every sign shop I worked in, I was like, oh, do you do hand painted signs? I can do hand painted signs. None of them ever did, but these guys, a job came through anyway to paint an honours board in an Australian naval ship. But like a general honours board would be kind of a small board in a golf club maybe, like small lettering. This was quite large scale. And what it was the dates and missions that the ship had been on throughout its history. And this ship was getting decommissioned. So they had to update the honours board for the last 4 years. So it was a pretty big job, and I wouldn't be one to underestimate a job. Looking at Shawnee's. Yeah, no, I always underestimated that. So I said, I was like, I'd get that done in a day. And no, I hadn't picked up a brush in years. But I, talk to talk. I was like, yeah, well, I'll paint that sign, no worries. And there was a lot of letters. I'd say there was four dates. There could have been, I'm not sure, there was over 50 letters. So there was a good bit in it. So anyway, I was there, went to the ship, got on, was painting away, and like the day started going. Like when you're sign writing, it just goes. Like the day, suddenly it's 5 o'clock, and you're like, well, I need to go home. And it was like 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the guys were like, do you want dinner? So I went up and had dinner with the crew, which was cool. But I eventually had to call my boss about 9 o'clock. I was like, look, I'm not going to get this done. So he was like, right, go home. And then I got a call like first thing in the morning, like pretty early. And they were like, you need to go and finish that, to get up and get that job done. Because the ship was actually getting decommissioned. So they had to have it done that day, and apparently the general was on the phone to them going mad. But the problem was the ship was no longer in Sydney. The ship was making its way north up the coast to Newcastle in New South Wales. So I had to follow the ship on the road and drive up and follow the ship. And anyway, pulled into Newcastle. And apparently there's all these protocols where no one is allowed on or off the ship until the captain signs everything off and everything. But for the sign writer, they skipped all these protocols. They're like, get the sign writer on the ship. And like proper military style, like. So anyway, I got on and I had to be escorted as well the whole time. And then I had to do another smaller little honours board job, like a vinyl job, in the captain's mess. And no one gets into the captain's mess. So this is so interesting because like, none of the other privates on the ship or any other of the crew would have been in the captain's mess. But I had to go in and do a job, so I was allowed in there. But I was wearing a hat. I wasn't allowed to wear the hat. Didn't like that.
What kind of hat were you
It's
wearing?
because it's all rules. You're on a Navy ship. You're on a, you know what I mean? It's a military ship, and there's rules and there's hierarchy, and so that So anyway, eventually I got the sign painted, but again it was about 9 o'clock that night before I finished. The sign painting takes ages. And then by that stage, the ceremony was taking place. They had everyone was all dressed up, in the white Navy uniforms and all that. But luckily I was kind of out of the way. I was down on the bow of the ship. But it was mad. I couldn't walk the normal way off the ship. They had to like bring me around the party. And it was so funny with the like military position, like sign writer has left the area. But yeah, it was a really, really, really cool experience, and one that even working in Ireland the past 6 years, I haven't had one to match it. Like it was, and then it was funny as well. I was looking at a job in Teeling Distillery down the way, and your man kind of goes, "Oh, it's not every day you're in a brewery." And I was like, "No, yeah." It kind of is every day. In the job of a sign writer, like it's a very varied job, and you get some pretty cool experiences,
That's amazing. I love that story. It's like Black Hawk Down is very dramatic.
Yeah. Well, the best was chasing the ship up north. Like I was driving while it was traveling in the sea.
Were you on a motorbike doing that?
No, I wish.
Like Top Gun or something. Colm, I have to ask you about this phrase you have. I think you might have coined it. They don't paint themselves. Did you make that up? And I love it. But can you tell us about it?
They don't paint themselves. No, you'd have it in fairness, and so would Cormac have it. It is. There's no doubt about it. It is hard work. I mean, that's the reality of it. Signwriting is hard work. So it doesn't paint itself. The computer doesn't do it for you. You've got to go out and do it. So, and especially in Ireland, we're given the best weather in the world to work on. So we have to get out and do it. So there's no other way of doing it. You have to get up. If it's summertime, you get up early. If it's wintertime, you get up at 10 o'clock. So they simply do not paint themselves. You got to go up and do it. So unless you're prepared to work, I'm looking at one fella over here. Unless you're prepared to work, you have to work. Yeah. So you have to be able to be prepared to work, and that means be prepared to get up early and be prepared to put the hours in. And it sounds corny and all, and it might sound artistic and all, but it's not. The signwriting game is not artistic in the slightest. It's about getting up early. It's about being there as soon as the dawn breaks. You're in, and especially if you're hiring out a lift or a heist or something. So you're working flat out from the time, because you're working for the machine more than you're working for yourself. The quicker you work, the quicker you put the machine down for 4 days. If you do it in 2 days, the client still pays 4 days. He doesn't know that it's taking 2 days. He doesn't know that you put down the worst case scenario, 4 days, 500 quid a day. So if you do it in 2 days, you've made 500 quid. You've made whatever. You've made a grand just by doing it faster. So the people not understand that. So you paint it by. It doesn't paint itself. You've got to go out and do it. So you learn that very quickly. That's it. Your one about when Holly asked about a quick question about, and Cormac said about the boats. I was painting the boat last year during the heat wave. Remember we had a fantastic heat wave.
Yeah, it was lovely.
So I'm painting the boat, and I'm on the side of the boat, minding my own business, but my t-shirt is raised up on the back, and just no big deal. But it's 5 hours in the middle of Offaly on the Shannon, whatever it is, in Carrick Shannon. I'm painting the boat, so I get this amazing ruby red, just this shocking ruby red strip that's 6 inches.
You've been seeing pictures.
It's 6 inches, perfect, So I'm coming back, and I go to I'm coming back and from drive. So I drop into the chemist, and I show him the back. I haven't seen it, and I go, it doesn't feel too good, And they go, geez, you better go to the hospital. And I I'm not going to the hospital. Just give me something with you. And I went back and I was coaching the next day, so I put my shorts down and I turned around and showed them. And there was just this bright ruby red strip of red paint, of red sun. So.
Well, yeah, we did have photos, but we didn't deem them proper to show you. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Yeah, that's a real thing, like working outside all the time. Do you guys get cold, or are you okay with weather?
Yeah, you have to be, you know.
Yeah.
But people always say, "Oh, it always rains." It doesn't always rain because I'm always outside, and it's usually not raining.
So they're better.
Yeah.
Holly, do you wear sun cream when you're working?
I wear factor 50 every day, even in the winter. If you don't want wrinkles, you gotta do sun cream.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, the sun is hard as well. Like we were working in the heat a few weeks ago, and like sometimes you're in the shade depending what way the wall is. But this job we weren't. It was baking on us all day, and people were like, "Oh, it's a lovely day for painting." And you're like, "Oh, I was wearing like long sleeves, you know, the hat, sun cream. You know, you have to be prepared."
Totally. Yeah, totally. Okay, Colm, I'm going to start with you with this one. How does sign painting make the world a better place, or does it?
Yeah, I told this story on the first day in class, and it would make a better place. We did a sign for Dublin Zoo, and they asked us to do a poem on the wall in Dublin Zoo, and Michael D. Higgins was there doing the opening of the zoo, you know. So he walks past, and there's all these pictures up, and they're all like pictures and prints and all the rest of it. And in the middle of it was a poem that we painted on the wall, and that was the only one he stopped for.
Ah.
And we don't know why this happens. I said this to the lads. We don't know why this happened. He stopped, and there was all prints all the way across, and arrows is hand painted. And he stopped to read the sign. I'm sitting there behind going, yeah, that's very clear, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Because no one has said anything. So does it make it a better place? The point is that he's seen it. He knew. Now I know what went into that. Colm, you know what went into that. So the colours that he picked was all the type that the designer picked, and the colours that he picked and all that. And we painted the sign, you know. And even I had a girl from Germany at the time at work. She said, "Why are we doing this? You know, why? I mean, we could print this. You know, if we could print this on the wall, why would we bother painting it?" So the point is that I was painting right, and in behind him, and he was saying, "We don't know why that is. Like, we genuinely don't know why he stopped to read the one. Why there's an intrinsic love of it, but it does make it a better place. So we don't know why." One of the lads in the gentleman letter said he goes past a certain area to see a sign because it's good for the soul. There's a lot of truth in that, you know. You do see it, and I'll tell you one thing. I had a lad from Denmark came over to walk around Dublin with my signs, and he walked past one of mine and just stood there looking at it, and he went, and I totally didn't see this at the time, you know. He was going, "Oh, the brush strokes, oh, Colm, look this," you know? And I'm going, I'm just thinking how much I got paid, you know. You know, and he's going, "Oh, the paint and the gold." And he said, "Look at this," you know. And I walked past him many times. So I walked back again. Maybe I should be looking at this a bit different, you know, because he's from Denmark and he hasn't seen it. You know, he hasn't seen someone put a brush to you know, whatever. He hasn't seen it. So to make it a better place, I think yes, because I think people, we don't know why. As I say, we don't know why Michael D. Higgins stopped to read that one. We don't know why, but and as the guy said in I can't remember his name, said during Gentleman Letters, he said we don't know why, but there's something in hand painted. And I will say one thing about the digital end things, that we know now, that when I started out sign painting, the digital was a nightmare for us. Now we know digital colours, they don't fade, they fall apart. So you can get a beautiful sign painted, and we can get a beautiful digital print painted, and it's identical. No one will know the difference. But within 6 months, the colours of a digital print will, my God, they will start to fade. You know, the sun will kill it, the wind will kill it, and then it looks just pure ugly. Yeah. Whereas our signs, the paint from our signs they'll just age, not fade, age, and they become more beautiful. So we know that now. We didn't know that then. When that movie was made, we still didn't know. We know it now. that the digital and the vinyl, when vinyl starts to curl and it starts to come off, it is awful.
It's horrible, yeah. No, totally. Can I just ask somebody to close that curtain, would you mind? Whoever's closest, thank you. Cormac, what do you think about? Does sign painting make the world a better place?
Well, yes.
Yes.
Straight down. Of course it does. Just like, I suppose, like, when you're painting on the street, you get so many people that stop and say, wow, that's really cool. And like, it's really good job satisfaction when people keep telling you you're doing a good job. But it is good. Like, just what I say, or what I've come to the realization of what I do as a business is I give people pride of place. So like, they come in, we do a nice job for their shop front, or recently we were working in Manchester and we done all these graphics in an office, and the guy came in and he was delighted. He was absolutely delighted, and I was just like, we're doing something more than just painting a sign. Like, we're giving people pride. Like, they've hired us because they want a really nice job done, and they're taking pride in their shop, or their business, or their office, or and yeah, that's so it is, yeah. Yeah,
totally. That's actually nearly gonna make me cry. That's beautiful. That's so nice. Yeah, pride of place and respect. Like, you treat something you love with like loads of respect and joy and love, and you paint it if you want to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We said it today. I think we were talking about it today. The energy that comes from the client. Because he is stressed out of his mind. Did he pick the right colours? Did he pick the right font? Did he pick the right size? He gets out of his car, he walks up and he goes, now he's got to worry with the curtains. And he goes on he has forgotten about the sign, he has forgotten about it. That's moved on. But he is, up to that point, he is stressed. And his energy is constantly onto you, ringing you, and he's saying, is this the right colour? Should we not go deeper? Should we not go large? Should we not go this wider, smaller, large? Should we not do this? And you're going, oh, please, just leave me alone. And no, he gets out of his car, he looks up and he goes, oh my God. And that's the energy that he gives you.
Yeah.
Because his energy, this is his life.
Yeah.
So you're working for his life. If you get it wrong, it's a fucking nightmare for him. But for his sign, it's his life. And until that moment, and I always say this, you got 1 second to make a good impression. You get 1 second. So your man walks out and he looks at it. He ain't gonna look at nothing. We had a conversation today. One of the lads was saying about the joins in the dye bond. Do we fill them or not? And I was going, well, we never fill them, because out of the car he sees it. He's happy.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna worry about the finer details. As long as he's filled it, he's happy, and that's what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. That might bring me on to a not written down question, but something I just thought of right now. Nightmare clients, is there such a thing? Have you ever had a terrible client? And what is the worst one that springs to mind?
I don't know.
Here we go, bitching 101.
I heard this earlier, but no, for the most part, in my experience, I've been very lucky to work with really, really nice people. For the most part, like, I think people who hire a sign writer have an appreciation for the craft already. They know they're getting a premium product. They kind of know to trust you to a certain extent, you know what I mean? For a lot of the time they do. When I first started out, I was a bit younger, I didn't have as much of a portfolio, or, it was harder to get the trust. But now people definitely are a lot more trustworthy in me and in my abilities. But yeah, for the most part. But I remember working for the sign companies in England and Australia, and you would get nightmare clients, because you're just dealing with a different type of person who's hiring a sign company to do a vinyl sign, and they're picky, and yeah. So a lot of it is like, dealing with people. You're a service, so you have to be good with people.
Yeah, totally. Colm, what about you? Do you have a nightmare client you want to share with us?
No,
Don't hold back now.
I'll say something quite controversial, but it's on camera, isn't it? So what happens is, right, you get a person with a mobile phone, nothing to do all day, but just sit there and just sees something and makes a point of it, and then forgets about it 2 seconds later. That'd be the worst case. No, I honestly believe that it's our job to keep the client what they want happy. So we have to clue into what they want, and that's the important.
Part mind reading, isn't it?
Yeah, part mind reading. We have to be able to be clear. Well, where is this guy leading? Where is this girl leading? Where are they leading? And then we have to, and you talk to them, and they tell you what they're, and we can solve it before we.
Or what I say is like, well, I'm not in the business of saying no. You know, if someone wants something, I just go, okay. You know, now, I used to argue with them. I didn't know it's not maybe the right
I
thing
would
to
say
do.
to Colm there, I would say to him that I'm not in the business of saying no, and I would say yes. My God, I would say yes until the end. I want to get paid, and I said, I've said yes to you on 25 different. This is the one time when I need you to get the finger out of here and write this part down. Right, I need this part because I've said yes to you in whatever you've done. Because I get to the point where, as Colm was saying there, you say yes to them. I get to the point where I will do whatever they want.
Sure.
So I'm just there to be whatever they want. If they say they want this done and this done, this done, this done, this done, I'll say grand. And when it finally comes to the point where the invoice is passed over, I want, this is the part where I need you to. I've said yes for since the start of the job. I've said yes. I haven't complained about. You've changed the colour, you've changed the font. You know, we did a job in the cafe near in Kenny, and they changed it from the letter was black, they wanted white, grand, no worries. Just at the end of the day, we didn't care. It's whatever you want, I don't mind. But at the end of the day, the final point is now you need to step up. That's the only time we need you to say yes.
That's absolutely fair. I mean, you need to get paid.
Yeah.
I have another question that's off the book, the ones I sent you. Are you type snobs? Are you a font aficionados? Like, do you have a favorite type that you like? Or
I don't know. I used to not be. I was like, oh, you know, it's only type, but now I'm kind of learning a bit more about design. Like I don't come from a design background, but obviously doing my job, you know, you have to be somewhat proficient in design. So I'm becoming more so of a type snob. My friends, I used to be like, oh, you can stretch a font to like fit into the space, and then that's a no. So I've learned that the hard way, and now I can spot it as well. I was like, oh, that font is stretched.
Yeah.
So you know, so it again, that's just learning on the job. That's just kind of like figuring it out as you go and making mistakes. And now I look back on those signs and go, yeah, that's a bit, you know.
Spicy. What about you, Colm? Would you turn your nose up at Comic Sans? I know that's a big designer thing.
Yeah, I did a sign for Comic Sans. There you go. I did a sign for the Irish school in the teaching school in Griffith Avenue, and they wanted this all this typography page and all this beautiful letters and all that. So I did Comic Sans.
I love it.
And maybe not Comic Sans, but it was brush script. It was very close to it, you know. And I put it out to another person, and she just was appalled, you know. And I was like, hang on a second, I got paid for it. The client was happy, so should I be annoyed about it? It wasn't Comic Sans, but it was close to it. But she actually pointed out and said it was in this font, but that was the one that was chosen for me.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit like what's the name of that movie, Rory? The one where your man reads the page. The newsreader. Anchorman. If it's on the page,
Yeah, you're gonna paint it.
I'm gonna paint it. If it's on the page, I'm gonna paint it. So an Anchorman, they make a joke of him because they put in an apostrophe to make him change it. So I was talking to we did a sign for the bridge, and there's a rugby hero with me. 3 rugby heroes. He's the another guy, I can't remember the name. And they were there. And they were saying to me, is their spelling correct? And I was going, I haven't checked the spelling for the last 5 hours. I'm just writing, you know, I'm Anchorman here. If it's coming out on the page, I'm just writing. So I pounce it and I write it, and he goes, have you not checked the spelling? I was going, oh my God, I haven't checked the spelling. For 6 hours, I haven't checked it.
How often does that happen that you spell things wrong? Is it every week or every time?
It does happen.
Yeah, it always happens.
I'm a dyslexic songwriter,
Okay.
so it's not a good place to be. But thankfully, Sean's quite good at spelling. So,
Okay, cool.
so But no, it's funny actually just about designers and stuff. Like obviously we do a lot of work with provided designs, and as Colm said, you just do the work. And then obviously I do design my own signs and things like that. But I don't come from a design background, so you know I'm not fully the best designer. I remember
Great, I love your signs.
we were doing a job in Dunleary, and someone stopped like, "Oh, you're doing a cool job. You're doing hand painted signs." I was chatting away to her. She was an older lady, but she was a designer, and she goes, "He's doing a nice job. Pity about the font though." And then I was just like, but yeah, she just didn't like it. But then I showed her something else I was doing. She goes, no, that's wrong. That's what she kept pointing out everything that was wrong. Then I showed her another thing. I was like, oh, what about this design that I done? Oh yeah, no, that's good. And that was one that I'd followed all the rules, and it was, you know, so it is interesting but I learn from that.
Yeah.
I'll take her advice on board and go, okay, she knows what she's talking about, rather than trying to be a know-it-all. And you know,
That's great. I love that the public don't hold back. I painted a mural once, and a taxi driver told me that the kerning was off. And it's very specific, but thank you. Yeah, it's incredible. Are people willing to pay for?
Go back to the spelling business.
Okay.
I did one for Eddie there. I did the bachelor in.
Yeah.
Can you spell bachelor?
no.
B-A.
BACHELOR.
Yeah, is there a T in it?
No.
Yeah, I put a T in it. So it's up, you know, and I'm so proud of me, you know. And I'm looking at this sign, the old English gold, and I'm putting the black. I'm thinking, I'm God's creation. You know? This is what I have achieved. Look, I have been set forth in this world to produce this book of magic. And the man comes along and goes, there's no T in bachelor. And I'm grabbing the bachelor beans going, there's T in it. So life, you know. And then I was on a job last week, and not last week, but maybe last year, restaurant. And the guy comes along and says, that's the U and the A were the wrong way around or whatever. And I was like, shite. Shite. And it is the wrong way around. And I'm like, fucking hell, I've got the fucking gold on and I'm trying to get it off and I'm trying to move it on. So, yeah.
God.
Get on with it. You know, what the hell? We only find out about ourselves when things go wrong.
It's very true.
We're all brilliant when things are going right.
Yeah, that's so true. Come here, are people willing to pay for sign painting? Is it more expensive or the same price as decals?
I don't know. I'm not too sure about what.
Okay.
I'm pretty
Or
sure.
like vinyl lettering or whatever.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I'm pretty sure that established sign companies charge a lot for their work, as in for vinyl work. And then someone comes to a sign writer, and I don't know, they kind of get a bit scared when you give them the quote. So some people are willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
You generally like businesses that come to you are kind of small, you know, niche, and then you give them a kind of hefty quote, and then they get a bit scared. So it's tricky. I've been trying to raise my prices.
Yeah.
So I've definitely found a little bit of backlash and that. Whereas a couple of years ago, I was definitely doing everything too cheap, and I was a busy fool. So there is a balancing and a learning act, and just trying to.
Yeah.
But,
that's good advice for students and people who might want to start, right? Don't undervalue your work, right?
Yeah, but then there's a balance of overcharging and then you don't get the job. So there's a kind of a sweet spot there. But it's a tremendous amount of work. Like I always underestimate it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's 1 day, so I'll charge 1 day rate, and then I'm there for 2 days. So you know what I mean? So and even all the planning that goes into it, like, you know, setting up your templates, all the kind of emails, your site visit, this, that, and the other. So there's a heck of a lot that goes into it. It's not just 1 day on site.
Yeah.
It's you know.
But I suppose you want to not only paint for the big brands and stuff like that, the people who can afford it. You want to kind of paint for smaller companies, right? Or do you? Or are you just like, if Nike came along and said, we just want you to paint our signs, would you be like cool with that? I'm not judging here either.
No, well, you need to make a living.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, we need to make a living, and for pricing goes, there's no X and O. There's no correct. There's no structure.
Right.
If you're working for an X client that has X amount of money and are willing to pay X amount of money, you really need to use your head and get X amount of money. But if you're working for the same client for the identical job and doesn't have X amount of money, and you want that job, then you charge X amount of money. That's life, you know. That's just, you have to use your brain. And we talk about hustle.
Yeah.
I mean, that client wants you to paint their sign. They would love you to paint their sign. They haven't got that budget, and if you want to do the job, do it. But if you did that same price for that other person, you'd be an idiot. So you have to learn to hustle and learn to understand who you're working for. I don't know. There's no answer to that. There's no flat rate.
Yeah.
I mean, there can't be a flat rate.
Right.
But as Cormac said, I mean, you're on site for whatever amount of hours you're on, but they don't know what the hell's gone in before you get there, you know? It's totally different. The amount of work you've done on site, they don't know, so you have to play that game, and you have to, that's where the hustle comes into it. There's an enormous amount of hustle.
Yeah, totally.
So when people talk about rights and wrongs and X and O's and flat rates, they don't exist. And they shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Because at the same token, I mean, the bigger clients and all are willing to pay X amount of money, but the smaller client would be willing, but he hasn't got it. So, but you want to work for both of them. You will learn.
You take. I kind of find it helpful to ask what the budget is at the start and go, how much money do you really have?
What's good about working with smaller kind of clients is they generally are more open to traditional style work. Whereas if you're working for a bigger brand, okay, you're going to make a few extra quid, but it's not. They're going to provide you with the designs. They're going to be very strict about what they want, which can also make your job easier because you can just go turn up and paint like Anchorman. But yeah, like it is nice to do real beautiful traditional work, but you don't really get paid for it at the end of the day because you're putting extra into the job and you're spending 3 days. You know what I mean? It takes a long time to do sign painting. Like, you know, sometimes painting a massive wall mural with spray paint, you can do it quickly and efficiently. Painting a small sign this big with like 2 colour fades, 2 colour shadow, then a cast shadow and an outline, and sure, why don't we just throw an inside shadow in it? It takes time. It's hard, you know, and your wrist gets sore, and you know, I find. Well, for me, I like working with Sean. I like working with a team to try to get the job done quickly. But then I have to pay everyone on the team. You know, so you have to take all that into account as well. You know, you can't. So there's no flat rate really because.
Totally. I'm just checking the time. How long? 42. Okay, we're 42 minutes in. I'm just going to ask you one more question each. So Colm, what would be your dream commission? Dream client?
You asked
dream
me this.
sign.
You asked me this. Right, okay. They rebuild the Titanic. And I get to pay Titanic.
Wow.
That'd be so cool.
Like a really, really big one. Yeah, that would be right.
That would be so cool. Because I'd have like Kate Winslet and your man beside me. Help me painting now. So they rebuilt Titanic.
All right.
Collie is painting the Titanic.
Love it. Yeah, that's great. Would you be on the ship when it?
I don't care. Just the fact that I'm involved in the Titanic.
Okay, that's fair.
If we can't get laid after that, I don't know what to say.
That's a very fair point. Cormac, what would your dream commission?
Well, my dream job is probably not as adventurous, but my dream job is one that I could just literally stand there. Just and I don't have to bend down, and I don't have to get up a ladder. I can just work. This height is my dream job.
Really big to like medium.
Just a line of text going around, and I don't have to bend down, and I don't have to get up a ladder.
I get you. Yeah. Bell bones.
Well, not that bad. I'm still young, but.
Okay, so we're gonna have like maybe 10 minutes or so questions. So anyone with a burning like need to know something from either Colm or Cormac, stick your hand up.
I've got a good story. Right?
Yes, you do.
Chair, stop talking. I've got a good story.
We know the question.
Yeah. He's not here. He can't ask it. And I have a good point. Right, go. I was gonna say something.
I was thinking about this all week. If you won the lotto
You still paint signs?
Good question. If you won the lotto, would you still paint signs?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
Easy. I'd buy a house, rent it, have passive income, and then I still run my business. Yeah. Just that would be great.
Think big, Cormac, you know?
Yeah.
No, okay, fine. Colm, what would you? If you won the
The
lotto?
world needs a cast shadow. It needs that black shadow showing the way.
That's
The world
beautiful.
needs that. If I don't do it, the world isn't going to do it. So I need to bring that black reverse shadow.
I love it. You're like the Jesus of sign painting.
I'm the Jesus guy. I need people to go, shit, that looks good, doesn't it?
Amazing.
Here, last one, right? There's a guy over here, right? We're talking about, the guy said earlier on, each sign paint is a character, right? So you need to be a bit off. There's no doubt about it. You need to be a bit off. You can't be fucking 9 to 5, and 9 to 5 doesn't exist. I had this fella over here, Jack, my godson, and he was working with me during the summer, and I said to him, the restaurant fella said, we have to work Saturday. And Jack went, oh no. Oh no, my dad doesn't work Saturday, I don't work Saturdays. And I went, we have to work Saturday because the restaurant fella just said it. He went, oh no. Now he's earning way more money than you, but he's moved on to a different dimension. So we're all different. A sign writer is different. He has a different way of looking at things. So I was at a pub one time, and it's the Keys in Galway. You've all been in the Keys in Galway. And you walk in, and you'll see this, as you walk in through the door, you'll see this beautiful timber floor, and you'll see this doorway to the cellar down on below. But of course, that doesn't exist. Because my uncle Eddie's there watching it, and he's sitting there the night before, and he goes, do you know what look good? Do you know what look good here? And he's talking to the owner, place. Cellar door, right there. And he's going, but there's no cellar, there's nothing there. Who knows that? Right? He said, who knows there's no cellar door? Let's put a cellar door here. And the man's going, it's open until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And next thing you know, the carpenters are all brought in, they've given the drawings, and they're all carving out this fake door, right? And he's creating this fake door, and now you walk in and you see this lovely handle on it to make, look, now underneath it's concrete. It's not going anywhere, right? There isn't that in there, but no one knows that. And everyone thinks, all the Americans are coming in and going, shit, you know, that's where the cellar door is. Guys, are down there, that's where the whiskey comes up from just here. And one of the he goes, and the carpenters are going to Eddie going, yeah, fucking, what the fuck are you saying to your man? I cut this around you. And it's there, you walk in to this day, you'll see a cellar door going absolutely nowhere. And the point is, you have to think outside the box, because you're always creating work. You're the one that has to create it.
You lost 20 years, Bradley Down, you lost.
Yeah. As I said, I backed him 20 quid, he won't do it. And I said, Eddie, 20 quid, there's no way he's going to listen to that shite. There's 20 quid, says, he ain't fucking putting a fake door in there. And it's there, it's done. Because you have to think outside the box. And if you're an artist, and I say this to the lads in the class, we need to be an artist, we need to be a painter and decorator, we need to be able to handle the weather, we need to be able to handle maths, you know, we need to be able to do, but there's big structural things that we need to be able to understand, that most people have one end of each of them, but a sign writer kind of has to have them all, 20% of each of them, and without that 20%, we get dropped, you know. Yeah. So if we have all 20%, then we're a good sign writer and we make good work.
Absolutely, fully rounded people. There was one gentleman who had a question. Did you? No? Yeah, you?
Oh, yeah. I got two actually.
From Brazil.
Hello. Hi. Is there any sign you're ashamed of?
Yes.
The one he stretched the type.
Yeah, the one I stretched the type. Yeah, there are a few maybe. I don't know. I suppose it's always nice to look back on old work and see how far you've come, which is good. But yeah, I can't think of one directly off the top of my head. But yeah, no, there is for sure. Nearly every job as well. I come away like I'm a perfectionist, so I always come away going, oh, I could have done that better, I could have done this better. So like nearly every job's a letdown.
Possibly too hard on yourself.
Possibly.
I'm just guessing here, but I know.
If I got paid for it, though.
Yeah. It's a job, it's right.
Yeah.
It's a job.
If I got
it's a job.
paid for it, then you got knickers and shorts and socks and
I hear you. Yeah.
I'm getting more like that now. Just kind of just get
Yeah.
in, do the job,
Yeah.
get done. Just you don't put so much of your soul into it.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it is a trade. It's a job. It's a just
And most people will look at it and go, oh, that's nice, like the colour.
yeah.
And you're like, I just spent a week doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't notice the finer bits, which is grand, like, isn't it?
That's what, like the guy in the movie there. He's like, he only paints signs for other sign painters.
Yes.
No one else notices it. The kind of the detail that goes into it. So.
Absolutely. Brilliant, yeah. Yes, you
Great.
were
Thanks so much for today. Lovely to hear your stories. And I just wondered, what's the industry like nowadays? Do you find it's growing, more varied clients and things if you've been doing it for a while? Thank you.
I would say yes. I would say it's growing.
Yeah.
And I would say that there's more and more designers that are part of a big project and they have more taste. You know, when I really wanted one designer to come here today and he wasn't here. But during the Celtic Tiger and during the boom, this guy was winning every pub award and he just loved signwriting. You know, he kept me going during the whole because he had taste. So people didn't know why he was winning best pub. People didn't know why he was winning best restaurant. But it was because we were putting hand painted signs here and hand painted signs there and gold leaf here and gold leaf there. And people didn't know why he was winning. We knew why he was winning. So he had taste, you know. Now more and more, because of that, more and more people have taste now. And I promise you, what them guys are saying about the vinyl and all, our work stands way above vinyl because people see it. So there is way more people with budgets and they want us to work for them, you know. They want us to produce top quality sign work. So yeah, I think there's a massive boom because it's the right way of doing things, you know. And they know now that vinyl doesn't last. They know now that digital prints doesn't last. And they know now that it becomes embarrassing after a while, you know. So they know that our work ages. It doesn't destroy the way their work does. So the people who are in the know are more educated now than they were in the past.
For sure.
Agree, Colm?
Cormac, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I definitely would agree. Like I've been running my business over 6 years now, and even in that 6 years, I've seen a lot more other signwriters come on board. Like my girlfriend Louise, she's now out on her own. She worked with me for a year and kind of trained. we won't go into that, but anyway. She's now out on her own and she's getting jobs and hustling and playing the hustle like Colm saying, and it's working out for her. And there is other signwriters in the recent years as well. We've got Megan here as well too, and Dara down the back. Yeah. They've all come in recently enough and they're making a living out of it. So like, the more people who are doing it, the more people are putting it on Instagram. The designers are seeing it. As you said, the designers have taste and they want it. And there's definitely demand there, for sure.
I don't think there's any need to be scared of more people doing it, right? Because the more people that do it, the more demand there will be for it, right?
Yeah,
1,000,000%.
I think so too. Like there's enough work for everyone.
Yeah, and Signpainters in general are a very friendly bunch, I think. They're very welcoming.
Yeah.
There's only about 10 of them in Dublin, so it's
yeah. And as well, like, with Signpainters being friendly, get people in to help you on a job. But as well as, I don't think there's too much competition for jobs. I don't think there's clients that are going to this person for a price and this person and this person. They kind of go to one person, and if they like them, they'll work with them. So there's not the kind of cutthroat sort of stuff going on. I don't believe so. Anyway, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Brilliant. Any other questions last one before we wrap up? Yeah.
Yeah, I have one. So, like, as you said.
My godson.
Hello.
So, like, as
Who
you
did
said,
he beat the stadium with me, by the way? And he wouldn't work Saturdays and Sundays.
I had a match. But so, like, Colm, for instance, as you said at the start, you said you're not an artist, but then when you were beginning signwriting, making your mistakes, like taking up a new job can be very daunting at times, but when was the moment you both knew, I can do this, I can make a living from this?
Oh, he's so intelligent.
And this
That's
is not
why he earns more money.
When was that moment
Yeah.
then? Thank you for that lovely question. When was the moment where it clicked and you're like, yes, I'm a sign painter?
Well, for me, I think that kind of moment was there's these letterhead events. They were talking about them in the movie as well. So these letterhead events, it's a big gathering of letterheads. This could almost be a letterhead event because we're all into letters here. So that's we can christen it.
We can jam.
But yeah, so I went. They had these big international ones every year, and I went to the one in London in 2018, and it was packed busy. And there was, I don't know how many hundreds of signwriters there, and I was looking around the room, and I was like, everyone here is making a living off signwriting, and they're all here on holidays, and no one's stuck for any fucking money. Everyone's making a living, they're all doing fine. And I just was like, yeah, I can survive in this industry for sure, because if all these people can, there's no reason I can't,
Totally. Yeah, amazing. Colm.
And my father used to. I'm a techno. I'm good with a paint. I'm good with a brush, but I can't do any.
Technophobe.
Yeah, I just can't. So it's all terrifying for me. But when it came to driving the car now, I just couldn't. I just didn't. But they put me in the car first for a driving lesson. I went. Okay, tell me what to do. The man said, "Well, hit the clutch." I didn't know what the clutch was. I'm in mid-20s now. Point is that when I started, I cycled, and when I knew I'd be a signwriter, my dad just turned around and said to me, the deal was, he would drop the ladders off for me to work the site. So he said to me, I'm not doing that anymore. I haven't got the time to be driving
Taxi
around.
around.
Yeah, I haven't got the time anymore to be. I have other things to do than drive around. And then the light went up in my head. I am actually a signwriter. Because I didn't need my dad to drive me down, so he says, go and get yourself a car,
Love it. Amazing.
So the moment I stopped cycling, I lost all my fitness and all my superpowers. And then realised, well, I never paid any money except for the car cost so much money. It's my ass. But yeah, the point where you realise you need to get a car, you need to get a business, you need to get your whole thing organised, and that's what I realised. Yeah, okay, because the economics of it meant that you can make the money.
Amazing. And what fabulous sign painters you both are. So thank you so much for listening. First, give them a round of applause.
One thing. Holly here beside us has kept really quiet and fair play to her, and she hasn't said a word, and I thought she was going to be all back to me. That happened to me, and something that happened to me, and I may fail her, but it hasn't happened. She hasn't said a word all night. Holly is an amazing sign artist. In the best tradition of the game, she understands hard work. And you can see she understands getting up, and she understands getting out in the cold, she understands working, she can see that she understands getting dirty and getting smelly and getting all the rest of it. And all that matters, and her work is amazing, and you just give that girl a big round of applause.